Welcome in, guys, to an episode of the Fly High Wi Fi Mental Health Podcast. We appreciate you guys every day that we get to do this. Without you guys, this is impossible. We might not reach as many people as we'd like, but we're working on it. And the more you guys help build us up, the more people we reach. And if you follow us on any of the socials or any of the platforms that the podcast is on, it is very much appreciated because one day that one person might stumble upon it and it might make a difference. So we're going to continue to do it as much as we can. And your guys' continued support is huge for us, and we really do appreciate it. And before we get started, I would like to talk about the holidays. It's a tough time of the year. We talked about it on the last one, and we're going to do it again because we're right before Christmas and New Year's. The holidays are a tough time for a lot of people, but I want you guys to know that you are not alone. Don't feel like you're alone. We are here. DMs are always open on any of the socials. If you don't have us on socials, it's exclamation point FB in the chat, or we have Twitter, we have Facebook, we have a Discord also, and they're actively being monitored as much as possible. So if you guys need anyone, we are here. You are not alone. We've been saying that since the day that we started all this. As far as um, wait, what? Cricky? Sorry. As far as it goes, it's okay to not be okay, but it's not okay to not do something about it. Even talking to your friends or somebody closer or a stranger might help you in the slightest way to help keep you going. And we suggest that if you don't want to go see professional help, we are not, well, one of us is not a professional in means of degrees or anything like that. This
You
one
try your
over
best.
here. Mrs. Wi-Fi now has the help to keep us going. She's the legal one here. Um, all I have is an IRL experience in dealing with people, and I know a lot of people would be okay with that. Um, but as far as not being medical professionals, that is not us. We are here for suggestions and awareness and open ears. So, with that being said, guys, we are going to get into this week's podcast. Um, Mrs. Wi Fi, if you would like to.
Okay. That's a good way to open it, especially with this time of year. So thank you for jumping on that. So today we have our typical two topics. So we'll start with codependent personality disorder, since we've been talking about all kinds of how people interact and what you do, and that means because we've done the high functioning codependent, we've done hyper independence, and now we're going to talk about the codependent personality disorder.
Okay.
Um, So the original term for codependent described persons living with or in a relationship with an addicted person. It was typically alcohol.
Okay.
However, hmm,
Alcohol. All right.
however, since more studies have been done, and in the more modern day, the current definition for it is codependency is referred to a specific relationship with addiction characterized by preoccupation and extreme dependence on emotional, social, and physical on another person.
Okay.
Something to note, this disorder is not classified as its own disorder in DSM-5 because it overlaps with the dependent personality disorder and borderline personality disorder. So they kind of hit both. Um, but they are doing more like research and studies to make it its own disorder within the DSM-5.
Okay.
Um, so that's what I just said. Sorry, my brain's lagging right now.
Hey, getting over being sick
Uh,
is tough.
mhm. So what does codependency look like? There's multiple different things that you can look at for somebody who has codependence. Um, like a codependent personality. Typically, it's low self-esteem, low levels of narcissism,
Okay.
family dysfunction, depression, anxiety, or stress, low emotional expressivity, so they can't express their emotions very well, having a hard time saying no, having poor boundaries, showing emotional reactivity, having a need to have control over others' lives, having trouble communicating honestly, you fixate on mistakes, you have a feeling you always need to be in a relationship or have somebody around, and then they typically have a fear of abandonment.
Fear of abandonment's been a lot lately.
It's funny when you read these, a lot of them tie into the same thing, but it represents differently in the person. Um, One way to access somebody's level of codependency are with specific tests they've developed. One that's still used to this day was developed in 1985. The test consists of 60 questions that are true and false. If a score below 20 is showing, then there's little concern for it. 21 to 30 shows moderate need for concern.
Okay.
31 to 45 shows moderate to severe concern, and anything over 46 shows severe concern for somebody who is codependent. Um, so if you do a test like that and you get into the higher numbers for the answers, there's several ways for them to treat it. However, the main focus is altering how the codependent person views themselves and their relationships. So they'll spend a lot of time building self-esteem, encouraging self-care, and having you spend some time alone.
Okay.
Whatever type they go with, those are typically the ones that they focus on. Um, Having these traits of codependency can eventually lead to a disconnect in their own needs or desires, promote unhealthy relationship dynamics, and affect self-worth and their overall well-being. So that's why they focus on the three up there, because those are the things that are typically most
Which be understandable if
impacted.
they're the most impacting, right? Yeah.
Mhm. Like I said earlier, people in relationships or families with in relationships or in families tend to have this if alcohol use disorder is within that. So they're higher if they've grown up around or are around a lot of people that are alcoholics. It also can be caused by a rooted childhood relationship with parents or caregivers. And then, so there's a healthy amount of dependence if you want to be able to depend on other people. So
Okay.
you're not into that hyper independence area. So the difference between dependence and codependence is, so I have a chart that has like examples. A dependent person, two people rely on each other for support and love, both find value in the relationship. And then versus codependence, the codependent feel worthless unless they're needed by or making drastic sacrifices for the enabler. The enabler may get satisfaction from having every need met by the other person. So another example of dependence, like a healthy dependence, is both parties prioritize their relationship but can find joy in outside interests, other people, and hobbies. So like being able to hang out with the other friends and stuff like that. A codependent example of that would be the codependent has no personal identity, interest, or values outside of their codependent relationship. So you have to find the balance.
Yeah.
Um, in a survey of college students, so this is kind of very pinpointed to, I didn't say what college it was, but 85% of men and 76% of women met the high to middle classification for codependency.
Wow.
Family stress has been connected to the higher likelihood of codependency, and codependency has a correlation to that low self-esteem. And then there was another study that said it talks about it's really hard to tell how many people have codependency disorder just because it's not truly its own disorder at this point. But they're estimating up to 90% of Americans show some sign of codependency.
You say 90,
Mm-hmm.
and that's American. So I could see that
Yeah.
as like being in the trades and being around people, being in the military. I see a lot of people that I can do it kind of thing.
And you can be codependent in so many different ways. You can be codependent just like the other ones in your job. You can be codependent in a
Right.
relationship. You can be codependent to your friends,
It could be
family. It just depends.
categorized in some
Mm-hmm.
way, shape, or form.
Yeah. But I know it was like pretty quick on that.
That's all right. We got the holidays coming up. Short, sweet, to the point.
Um, I think it was just a lot of the same as the others.
Right.
You just define where you fall within those examples or those characteristics of it.
I get it. That is pretty. 90% still is like, but it's in anything. You can be codependent and just in
Yeah,
your
you
work
don't have to
life
be
versus,
codependent in your
yeah.
whole your
Yeah,
whole
you could
life
be.
doesn't have to be codependent. That's one specific thing you could fall
I'm very codependent, independent.
into.
Oh, Muffin, you're just something else. Um,
Which I'm sure there's some ties and overlaps to um
Others, like other,
you can be hyper independent in some areas and codependent in another area. So it's just all based on like your own journey and who you are, what you've gone through and figuring it out. There is a tie between codependence and narcissistic personality traits coming together. So you'll find
have
them
we
a lot
talked about, we
in.
talked about narcissism, right?
I'm gonna do
Mm.
it next. I'm like,
I, yeah, I think it's time for that one.
that one is definitely an interesting
That
one
one's gonna
because
hurt some
again, it's like,
feelings. So
um,
there's your guys'
I mean,
warning right there. Yes,
and
Muffin,
you
we
can
do
have a
need to talk
low,
about that.
you can have a low level of that too. Like even
Right.
a codependent expresses some low levels of narcissism, but I think it's probably because they're directly connected with narcissists, so they're learning that behavior and seeing that as like right.
Yeah.
That's my personal opinion, though.
And that's everybody's got their own opinion. Just don't get
Um,
upset when people state them. That's all I'm saying. Be open minded. Don't be instantly biased to your own feelings and your opinions and think everybody else is wrong.
um,
That would
so
be
that's all I have
narcissistic.
for. I
Oh.
haven't read through the notes yet on that one.
Yeah.
Got
I
a
went
bit
right to
of
the
narcissism now,
yeah.
but um, so that's all I have on that.
Okay.
And we'll move into cognitive shuffling, which is what I was mentioning about. You said you have been not sleeping well.
Okay.
So this really isn't like a topic or a disorder. It's actually a mental technique to help people fall asleep and stay asleep. This theory is to help you fall asleep in a gradual process instead of like an instant switch. The effectiveness of cognitive shuffling lies in its ability to occupy the mind with straightforward items and by distracting mental activities. So to enhance your sleep quality and take away some of the anxiety. There's various different ways that it can be used, like imagining a sequence of random, emotionally neutral objects or scenarios. So some examples of the emotionally neutral objects are like waves crashing on a beach or a cozy cabin with a crackling fire.
Sounds way better right now than this cold weather.
Um, so there's simple scenarios that can be used like that. Um, But while you're doing this, you only stay focused on like the waves crashing on the beach for like a minute or so, and then you switch. That's where the shuffling is.
I
So
do
your
that
brain doesn't
anyways.
start.
I'm ADD.
There you go. You're perfect at this.
I, yeah, I'm screwed from the start on this one.
Um. So yeah, you'll do the switch to something else, and then once your brain starts to want to wander within that scenario, you're going to switch it again, and then your brain will eventually shut itself
See,
down.
my brain's
But
already
you
so
can like,
smart it does that on its own.
well, maybe you want to try the word shuffling instead of the imagery shuffling.
Word shuffling?
Mhm.
Hmm.
So you pick a word like bedtime. What? Computer is quicker.
So bedtime, huh?
So you pick a word like bedtime, and then you're gonna rapidly think of words that start with B, then imagine it. So baby, imagine a baby. Ball, imagine a ball. Blink, imagine somebody blinking a lot. And you're gonna do that for so long, and then you're gonna go to the next letter E, and you're gonna say elephant. Imagine an elephant. Eagle, imagine an eagle. And you're gonna do that all the way through that word. And by the time you get to the end, your brain is just kind of should have fallen asleep at that point.
Hmm. I'd have to do it with sleep music in the background because I have tinnitus, and if I sit in a quiet room, that's all I'm hearing is my ears, and then I'm gonna go insane. So I'll be not focused on the eagle or the elephant or the ball or bedtime or anything.
You're gonna like the ringing.
I'll be like, ah,
Um,
they're coming.
so you can do that for any type of word. You can do it for any type of scenario, but the purpose is to focus directly on there so that you can fall asleep and you can
Okay.
shuffle it the second you start to wander.
To go off that kind of a thing, what about maybe is the sleep music? As there, we'll have to look into that, see how effective they say that might be.
I don't know. They didn't have a
Yeah.
percentage for this either on like how much,
Okay.
like how well it works. It's just kind of like
Well, they
a suggestion for them
it's
to
been like a little
do.
thing since you were a kid. They always joked about counting sheep, right? Just
Hmm.
to keep your mind focused on one thing and forget about trying to sleep, and then you'll just naturally fall asleep. So Jerry says my wife uses sleep music. It doesn't work for me. Well, see, there's 50-50 right there. Ah, figured it out all on my own. No, I'm just kidding. Um,
Those are very small
very small.
amount of people.
Yeah, statistics were only two people, but it was 50-50. He said
Girl
girl
math.
math. Oh, geez, Jerry. Um, both of my kids use sleep machines, but it was more or less something my wife did since they were little to not wake them when she was vacuuming or doing something around the house and they wake up at every little sound. But now I wish she wouldn't have done it because these little things sleep like bricks. You can't get them to wake up for nothing. So if somebody's gonna break in the house, if they're home alone and they're a little bit older, they're just gonna walk right in. They're gonna be sleeping like babies.
Well, at least they're sleeping well. I've noticed when I was growing up, I was I'm still an extremely light sleeper, but I couldn't have any noisy songs. Now I have to sleep with like the TV or some kind of noisy background
Right, and that's
that you can transition through life.
yeah, you do change over time. I'm sure a lot of people like growing up. I turned my TV off and I didn't sleep with that anything on. Well, I take that back. There was periods when I lived with my mom. I listened to music while I fall asleep, and then when I moved in with my dad, it was no TV, no sound, turn it all off. So then I did that until I got a little bit older, and then I hated sleeping with the TV on because then I would wake up and hear the TV and think something's going on. Then deployment, obviously, in the military, a lot of that on and off with obviously sleeping with not a damn thing on. Um, but now with the tinnitus in my ears, I have to sleep with some kind of background noise, whether it be the TV or like the sound machine or something.
I was gonna say, like when I was growing up, it was all like I could hear like a pin drop and it would wake me up. I did not like even when Tyler and I first got together and he changed his breathing, I would wake up.
Yeah,
So
mine
I was like,
was
no TV, no fan, nothing. I couldn't have
oh
anything because it would
fan.
just
I fans are a must anymore. That helps with
now.
background noise. Yeah,
Yeah, I was gonna say now I have the fan, the TV, all of it going, and I'm like, cool, I can go right to sleep.
yeah. Unless the hubby is in bed, I have to have music or yeah, because you feel lonely. I get it. That's your he's your strength and your security in that bed. I get it.
Um, so again, that was another short one, just kind of a tip on how to try and help you fall asleep. And it's just switching those simple either words or your imagery, just kind of switching to the next one.
Perfect. My mind's already set up for that switching. I'm gonna try
You
it
might not be able
tonight.
to do that.
Yeah. I'm gonna make it through the whole dang alphabet by the time I'm done, and I'm gonna start all over again because I forgot what I was doing. Guys,
True. True.
two short topics, but again, with the holidays, we wanted to make sure that we got something out there. Give you guys a chance to come and stop by, ask questions, hang out with us. Know that we are making effort to keep going, being consistent. Again, we are on all of the major platforms, and I checked us out on iHeartRadio the other day. I didn't have an iHeartRadio account. I made one. We are on there. I like it. It's more of a podcast style thing, so it's easier to
I
find
could check it
podcasts
out.
on there. Again, Pandora, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook. We're on everything, and then also the VODs are always usually over here on Kick as well. If you guys need anyone, we are here. This is not a time to be stubborn. I ask that you don't sit in silence and lonely. If you're close enough to any of us, I'm almost positive anybody would open the door up for you on the holidays and hang out, or anytime at that factor, so you're not alone.
And it doesn't matter what you're talking about if you just need
You just
somebody to talk to and fill in some of that empty time. Cool. If you need somebody to kind of help you talk through something,
yeah,
so that's a big thing we push. We're not here to diagnose you. We're not here to do any of that. We're here to spread awareness and kind of get you on that right path where you need to go.
yeah, absolutely. Maybe here's something that you never knew, or it might link and might spark that thought of maybe I need to go see somebody, or maybe I need to talk about it. But being stubborn right now is not the answer. I promise you. Talk to somebody, reach out to somebody you haven't talked to in a long time. Make sure they're doing well, and I'm sure they'll ask the same. Just never know what anybody's going through on any given day. You could be the reason that somebody chooses to keep going. It's as easy as opening the door for somebody, saying, walking past somebody and saying hi. Hope you have a great day. Really that easy. All right. Anything else?
Mm, that's it.
All right, guys. On behalf of myself, Mrs. Wi-Fi, Fly High Wi-Fi, Merry Christmas. Yes, we say that. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and Happy New Year. Love you. Bye.
Bye.